host of The Cell. I invite you to listen to our program every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. I would also like to thank you for listening to Community Radio on WGRN LP 94.1 FM, Columbus.
I'd like to welcome our listeners back. I hope everyone is staying safe during this pandemic. We have been recording from home, so please forgive us if you happen to hear some noise and stuff in the background. We'll do our best to keep that down. Our guest tonight is Jerry Saunders, Sr. He is Chief Executive Officer of Afrocentric Personal Development Shop. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, good evening.
I have hosting with me tonight Mr. Ernest.
Hello, everybody.
And I also happen to have with me Tish. And then I have Miss Stephanie. Stephanie, this is first time joining us on the show, so I'd like everybody to welcome Miss Stephanie with us. Hello, Steph.
Hey,
hello,
Stephanie.
everybody. Good evening. Happy to be here.
So, Jerry, you are with the Afrocentric Personal Development Shop, which is called APDS, and you provide a service to the community in your area. First, I'd like for you to talk about yourself a little bit and how the Afrocentric Personal Development Shop came about, because I do feel that some of the services that you provided there is great. So, Jerry, could you tell us about yourself, please, and how the organization got started?
I sure will. Be happy to do so. Thanks again for having me on the show. To start off with, I'll just talk a little bit about myself, because when I was young, my parents actually raised me to do community service. We did a lot of volunteering back then. At that time, my father was a minister. My mother worked closely with the church, so they had us all doing a lot of volunteering at a very early age in life, and I really did. I just took to it then, doing community service. And so fast forward, when I got out of college, I played a little basketball, semi-pro, and then went into the corporate community and did that for 7 years and decided that I needed to get more involved back in community service. I was volunteering at the what we called back then the East Side Y over on Woodland Avenue, and a position opened up, and so I got involved back in community service and became the executive director over there for 10 years. And then the founder of APDS, the Afrocentric Personal Development Shop, Dr. Mariba Kelsey, was a member over at the Y. And he started talking to me about he wanted to retire and if I would be interested in the position here at APDS. And initially I was saying, no, I didn't want to do that. I didn't have a background in psychology. But he kept telling me, you got a background in people and we need somebody to run the organization, 501c3. He was a professor up at Ohio State and had his own private practice. And his wife, Dr. Barbara Kelsey, was a counselor with Columbus Public Schools. And they were retiring and decided, years ago in 1988 on July the 4th that they wanted to start an agency that focused on providing services to African Americans. And at that time, and we still do have the basis for psychology with Sigmund Freud. And they were just feeling like that just was passé at the time, and they wanted to do something that was more culturally relevant. So they started off working with 4 families, and after about 7 or 8 years, it just had grown to the point where it was no longer a small operation, and he could not run it out of his private practice. And so I decided to come on board then, and we purchased this building over here on Livingston Avenue and just started building. That was 23 years ago. So we've been around 31 years and now, or 32 years, and I really enjoy what we are doing. And let me tell everybody what we do. We're a behavioral health care center, and our primary scope of service is treatment for substance use disorders. Most people, alcohol and other drugs is called. And then domestic violence counseling for male batterers. And we did that because Dr. Kelsey and Mama Kelsey, I call her Mama Kelsey, but both are Dr. Kelsey, they were focusing on family development. And as I got involved and was learning the business, I saw quite a bit of domestic violence going on. So we decided to add that to our program 19 years ago. And we've been doing that since then and working closely with the Franklin County Municipal Court. So we take on 2 major issues in our community, and that's substance abuse and domestic violence. And we address those focused on helping to make the family healthier and safer, not in a punitive way, but in a way of building community, building family to build community. And so that has been our focus there. We are a little over $1 million per year on the budget. We have 13 full-time staff members, and then we bring on an additional 12 during the summertime because every summer we try to bring 120 kids from around the city of Columbus or Franklin County together for 9 weeks, and that's at the day camp. And they're 6 to 12 years of age, boys and girls. And our intent is to work with those young folks so that they won't need our services when they become teenagers and adults. And that's our prevention portion of the program.
I need to sidestep here a little bit. Where did you play? You said you played some pro ball, or?
Yeah, I had tryouts with Phoenix and Boston and did not make those teams and played semi-pro with the Las Vegas Dealers. I'm a graduate of Oberlin College, so that's not really a sports school. That's academic. But I who played professionally, and I just picked up some skills and had an opportunity to try out. So I did so.
Yeah, that's pretty extensive resume. How often do your board meet? I noticed you got a lot of heavy hitters on that board.
Every other month, and they're awesome. And now let me say this: that's the general meeting, but we do work in between those meetings. The different committees, in particular, the finance committee meets often, and then like our program committee will meet tomorrow, and the program committee meets quarterly. And
I wanted to know, you got a lot of programs, but what caught my interest right off was the scholarship, the Mama Kim. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. When I started, Mama Kim, and her American name is Millicent Dixon, but she went and she was a retired nurse, brilliant woman. She left and went and lived in Kenya for a few years. And there, she just was learning the culture, which she claimed was her culture as opposed to the American culture. And there, when you have a child, the mother takes on the name of that first child. And so her first child's name was Kim. So she became Mama Kim. And so she came back here to United States, and she was here when I first started. And to tell you a little story about her, at the time when I started, we had 3 psychologists here, and brilliant guys. And not to put anybody down, but they would usually talk to you for about an hour. Mama Kim could talk to you in 5 minutes and get you straight. You know, that's all. It didn't take her long to get you together. 5 minutes, she didn't hit it. Bam, 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 she got you together. Well, anyway, she had told me one day, Jerry, you know, she was appreciative of the work we were doing because we were really moving quickly at that time. We were small and growing quickly. And she said she was appreciative of the work and that she wanted to donate $5,000. And I was like, wow. You know, she was retired, elderly. And I said, okay. And so, you know, it went along. She told me when she was going to do it, maybe like a month and a half, 2 months later, she was going to do it for tax purposes too. And so when it came down to about 3 days before or 4 days before, I don't remember the exact days, but right up to the time, she called me and said, I'm going to make that $10,000. And I said, wow, okay. And then the day that she was pulling her money to invest in us, she gave us $25,000. And that was a blessing. And so she was big on education, and we needed some of it for operations. So what we did was took the $15,000 and used that for operations, and took $10,000 and put in the Columbus Foundation and set that there for scholarship funds. And then they did a great job investing it. We continued to contribute to it. And what we did was said each year we would do a $1,000 scholarship, one for a male, one for female, for college. And this will be our 21st year this year doing that. And Mama Kim passed away about 5 years ago. But we did that because I knew that if we would have took the $25,000, we would have spent it, and it would have been spent well. But the scholarship gave her a legacy, and she was big as a nurse. As a matter of fact, Kim, her daughter, is an MD up in Chicago, and so she was just big on education. Brilliant woman, and so that's the Mama Kim Scholarship Fund. And so every year now, we've been working with the Greater Columbus Community Helping Hands program because they usually provide scholarships for like 70, 80 kids every year. So what we do is take and provide the $2,000 plus some additional dollars to them to support their program, and they provide 2 Mama Kim scholarships to the students that go through the program. Yeah, Mama Kim, she told me one time, she said, real nice and easy, didn't talk. She said, you got this name, Afrocentric Personal Development Shop, but Jerry, I don't see any Africans walking up and down these halls. I said, whoa. Yeah, I had to think about that. It took me a few weeks, but I came back and said my genes are from Africa. So, it took me a little while, but that was a good, point there, because in reality, a lot of times we talk about us as African Americans being really Afrocentric, but we don't make that connection. They're like folks back home with the homeland, which it is a connection, a major connection, but we don't always have that major connection. And what she was pointing out to me is that we get this education and learn Black history and all, but is it really Black history? And why don't we connect with people from the continent and have them involved in terms of teaching us? Because after all, they've been around longer than anybody has been in this world. And so when you think about that, you start going, whoa, that's a lot of history there. But for most of us, we have operated based on what we have gotten here in this country. And so we'll say it's 2021 when it's actually, we don't even know how old it is. But we've been around a lot longer than the 2021 years.
So how did you address it?
I've hired over and over again. Yeah, I did that, definitely. I always use it for pretty much everything. I always try to do what she said because she always gave me great advice. Always gave me great advice, and that did make a difference.
Did she speak our native language?
Oh, yeah. She spoke that, yeah. And then we had Dr. Deo Tungaraza, who is from Kenya I'm from Tanzania, rather, to teach Kiswahili here for years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So we did do that, and she talks Swahili. I did learn it, but if you don't use it, you lose it, and that is the case. But I have to tell you this because this is funny. I see we got a little laughter, but domestic violence and substance use disorder is very serious. But it's funny. One of the guys who I did hire, and I'm not going to call any names out, we used to be open 6 days a week. And so on Saturday, one of the lead administrators would be in charge that day. And during the wintertime, that person usually has to assign someone to shovel the snow, or they shovel the snow before we open up. If it's ladies here, the guy would shovel the snow, not being male chauvinistic, but just being a gentleman. So anyway, I get a call from one of our lead counselors saying that this person did not shovel the snow for our clients coming that day. So I called them, and they explained to me that with them being from Africa, they wasn't that familiar about the snow. And I said, brother, your PhD, and I'm not going to tell you where it's from, but your PhD is somewhere here in the United States where it is snow. You know what I'm saying? So get out there and get that snow shovel. He tried to pull the African card on me, like, he's from Africa. No, come on. I done been to Africa. I'm telling you. That just didn't work out. And, it was just too funny. It wasn't funny at the time because, it was a lot of snow down there. He just was like, he wasn't feeling it. And we don't have a snow blower, right? So he wasn't feeling it. But anyway, I always think about that. This guy is coming from where we get a lot of snow at in this country. And he tried to act like he wasn't familiar with snow. Yeah, it's crazy.
If you guys excuse me for a minute, we need to take an identification break.
Hi, this is Ernest Kelly with the Faith Thomas Foundation. You're listening to The Sale on 94.1 FM, WGRN, and WGRN.org worldwide. Listen to us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m.
Now, on the serious side about that, sometimes whereas we will think that people from other countries do not know a whole lot, and they do know a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And then, so I constantly will ask someone, where are they from? And when they say Africa, I go, no, brother, no, sister, where are you from? And then they will tell me, because they understand that I understand that it's not just Africa. There's different countries and cities and all. And so we don't always think about that. But, if somebody asks you where you from here in the United States, you are not going to say United States. You're going to say Atlanta, Columbus, Cleveland, L.A. You're going to pick out an area that you're from. But I think sometimes it's done because they feel like we just don't know. And they're right. We just don't know. So we just go Africa when there's so many different cultures and languages, and it's just rich and just beautiful. And it is just amazing. And I went in 2001, and I was definitely reborn. I definitely was reborn from that experience.
Thanks.
My question is kind of like twofold. Since we're in the age of COVID, how have you had to adjust your program, and have you seen an increase in domestic abuse?
To start off, first off with the second question about the domestic abuse. In May, those numbers I got then at that time, we had went from in the city of Columbus making 13 runs to 31 runs in one day. So that obviously was an increase, not just for that one day, but that was the trend that was going on. In terms of how we've dealt with COVID, we are an essential organization, so we stayed open. We've stayed open all the way through and have been quarantined as an organization for 2 weeks, 14 days, and that was about 4 weeks ago. Otherwise, we've been open. We've taken all precautions. We have what you call a temperature verification station at the front and back of our building. So when you come in and when you leave, we are taking temperature. It's one that you can just put your face down to it, and it'll give you a temperature. If you don't have your mask on, it will alarm will go off, or if your temperature is over 99.1. We do cleaning on a regular basis all through the day, cleaning, desanitizing, disinfecting. Once a week on the weekend, we have the company come in, and they do I call morally excellent. They come in and they do the spray. They disinfect with the spray through the whole building. And so we do that weekly, and that is just part of our norm now. And, of course, we have the hand sanitizers all over the place and Lysol spray, all those things. Our groups that normally would be anywhere from 12 to 15 people is at we only allow 10 in the room at a time. So that means that the group could be 9 people or could be 8. If we have one facilitator, it'd be 9. It would be 9 clients. If we have to have an interpreter, which we do have a lot of folks from Africa and Spanish-speaking folks. So if we had to have an interpreter in there, then we'll have 8 people in the class, which made us increase the amount of classes that we've had, that we have because of the smaller number that can be in the class. And that's been great, because the persons get more attention then and get more time to speak and to process their thoughts and what's going on in their life. So that has worked to our benefit, and we just feel like it is the norm. We purchased, we keep the latest in our technology because we have the electronic health records, but we had the desktops and a few laptops, and so we went and purchased 9 tablets so that our clinicians can work from home in case, like what happened the other few weeks ago, we have to quarantine, so we work from home so we can still stay in touch with our clients. So we've maintained that in touch with our clients the whole time. There was a period from March the 18th to I can't remember the exact date, sometime in July, that we didn't do any groups at all. We just did individual sessions in person or online. And we've added Microsoft Teams, so most of our meetings are over Microsoft. And it's just the norm now for us. I think it will be like that for a while, and we've seen the benefits for a number of our clients because they don't have to drive. For an individual session, they just get on their phone or on their computer, and we can engage in a counseling session. That answer your questions? I know I was short on domestic violence, but I don't know what else to tell you because, the numbers speak for themselves from 2019 to let's see, what was that? 2018, I believe. I'm not sure which, but I know that we increased considerably in domestic violence in the calls and all, and I track those. So the last ones that I can think off the top of my head in terms of big numbers was 2018 in Franklin County, where we got over 8,000 calls, and we had ended up with 3,000 and something, like 3,544 actual domestic violence charges, which means like about 5,000 of those was no charges. And I was concerned, thinking, okay, well, they charged him something else, but I can't remember the exact number, but it wasn't over 500 that those other charges were. So that means that there's a lot of calls that are made and end up not being any charges filed. And while that could be actually true, I do not know. I wasn't at each case, but those numbers are suspicious to me. And I can speak on that further. When I say suspicious, I just think that a lot of it is driven by male privilege. And what I mean by that is people thinking that, it's okay for men to have those rights to be aggressive towards the women, which is totally wrong. And it's that way not only with in marriage, a lot of times in the criminal justice system, the court system, the lawyers, all of that follows through. And I would surmise that if it was women beating up men, it would be a lot different right now. The laws would be a lot different.
Jared, when you said you guys make runs, who contact you, your organization, to come and get involved? What's that process?
Oh, you mean the run? No, when I was saying runs, I'm talking about the police making runs, sheriff department. They track all those calls, urgent calls, like the state of Ohio tracks them, and then they break them down by the counties. But how do we get involved? We get involved because usually the court refers them here. We work closely with Franklin County Municipal Court, and they refer the guys here for services. Yeah, and people walk in. You can come in and get the services too. Sometimes, marriage counseling, they'll send people here, and people come in on their own too. They just know they need that help, and you'd be surprised. I mean, it gets passed down generation to generation, and it takes a minute for some people to realize, hey, no, you don't have that privilege, that because they've seen it all their lives. They saw it in their house, and they've seen it in other folks' house, and that is changing now because women are just saying enough of that. And so that is definitely changing. Like when you look at suicide, murder-suicide, 72% of those folks that it's intimate partners that happen on all those suicides. It's suicide homicide I'm talking about now, not just regular suicide. Murder-suicide. We just had one here, a few days ago, last Thursday, up at Hoover Grigg. The guy, murder-suicide. And we've experienced it here with our clients or former clients, and yeah, it's domestic violence is real serious. Now I can tell you when we got involved back then, I was telling you guys earlier, I was single and learning the business, so I'd be here late at night by myself going through the files, seeing all of that. And when I went to check on it, back at that time, it was listed that black folks were like, I forget, 12% of the population. We still stay 12 to 20% of the population, or 12 in general. When we, I know when I came up, all my friends, it was like 5 to 8 people in the family, not 2.5, And so I don't know how we still stay at them low numbers, right? I guess when you let other people count you, that's the way it is. But back then, we had like 12% of the population here in the city, but 64% of the victims were African American women, and it just hurt my heart. It just hurt my heart, and it's like, what are we doing as brothers that? And I don't know who, I can't say, but I guess majority of the perpetrators were brothers, and I don't know where those numbers come from, other than they reporting them, because everybody don't report domestic violence. But I know the number said 64.7 or 64.9. The victims were African American women, and so that just really sparked me to really find out what we could do to help out, because that's what we're about, family. And it's not just the perpetrator and the victim, the wife and the husband or the boyfriend, girl. It's the children too, because The one thing I learned in substance use disorder, the children, a lot of times, they love their parents regardless, because that's who their parents are. And on the outside, you look and go, wow, they was getting high with the kids in the room or doing this and doing that or didn't pay for the kids going to school. But the kids still love them because that's who they know are their parents. That's what they're exposed to. And so when they grow up, they pick up a lot of those kind of things because they don't see it as wrong. It's normal. And so, and there's a point to that because I have learned in this business, that a lot of times our bias system says right and wrong when really it's more just different. If you know what I mean, doesn't necessarily mean one's right and one's wrong. They're just different. And when you're dealing with folks, you got to try to reach them to find out what is normal for them and then operate from where they are, which is what I love about APDS. That's what Dr. Kelsey instilled in us, is to meet people where they are and work from there. Don't be so judgmental or no relapse on substance use disorder.
Okay.
So did that help you out right there? Now, the summer camp is a little different. I can tell you about that. We go 6 to 12-year-olds.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We go 6 to 12-year-olds, and we usually try to do, now this year was different because of COVID, of course, but when we normally would try to do 120, next year we'll do 100, and we typically have, like when we do 120, we have 90 people who are below the $250 poverty level and 30 people who are above. And we just try to mix those folks, and we would as breakfast, lunch, and a snack. And we used to do field trips every week or every other week. We do academics in the morning. In the afternoon, we're doing everything from martial arts to African dance, aeroponics, cooking, debate team, sewing. I mean, just a little bit of everything. Tap dance, all of it. So we got quite a bit that goes on for that. I think it's the best camp around. Of course, I'm biased, but we have Tony Walker, who is I'm biased because Tony Walker is our director, and she is just awesome. And then Daya, our art instructor, she just the bomb. I mean, we just got some bomb people working in the camp. It's not because of me. It's because of this. Yeah, we got some bomb people that's in there doing some good things and some great kids.
So you're exposing them to other things out that they might not have an opportunity to really do during the summertime. So you're exposing them to different things.
Yep,
Yeah,
and the harmful effects of substance abuse and violence. And we hope that they will talk to their peers, brothers and sisters, classrooms, and encourage them to talk to other people about it. And so usually, and I haven't the last couple of years, but it used to be when I would talk to the parents at the parent meeting at the beginning, I would tell them, don't get upset when your child comes home and tell you quit drinking beer and smoking cigarettes, because that's what they're going to be getting here. So just know that ahead of time if you don't want them doing that.
Well, looks like our time has run out. If you'd like more information on APDS, please contact 614-253-4448. Please join us next Wednesday for part 2 for more on APDS and our conversation with Mr. Jerry Saunders Sr. Thank you and peace out. The Faith Thomas Foundation would like to thank you for listening to The Cell. We broadcast on WGRN 94.1 FM. every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. You can also stream us live on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. on WGRN 94.1. For more information on the Faith Thomas Foundation, please visit our website, Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is Faith Thomas FDN.